Good afternoon and good morning, students. For those of you who have certified in AutoCAD, you are now going to be introduced to a program that we call Revit. The program is looks like this. The icon, you'll see it on your screen. It's Revit 2020. And when you open it up, you go to this screen. Okay, this part of the screen is just what holds your most recent projects. Unfortunately, there's no way to delete these or move these if you wanted to, or anything like that. It just kind of works automatically. No way to add anything to it unless you just open something and start working with it. But as you see, you got two sections. You got one called models and one called families. Models are your actual buildings, like your houses or your commercial buildings. It's the whole thing, the whole project. And you'll hear me oftentimes referring to it as projects instead of models. And then under this, you have families. And families, the two items on here that you see, is a good visual explanation of what families are. Families are, smaller things. Instead of a whole house, you just have, in this instance, you have a fireplace. And here you have a sliding window. So individual things like furniture, refrigerators, appliances, whatever that you can think of that would go into a house is what would be under families. The reason they call it families is because it is basically a family of geometry of these different bits and pieces that kind of go together to make, what you see here. And we'll discuss some families, definitely not this year, maybe next year, because I do want to get you a little bit familiar with working with families, but we primarily want to work with, we're going to be working with our full buildings, the buildings and the houses. Over on the left, in the left column, there are several buttons, and these two buttons have to do with the models. This one has to do with the families. And you would either open an already existing job or create a new job. When you first get into Revit, and this is what I want you to go ahead and do, is create a new job. You must do this. This dialog that comes up asks you for the template that you're going to use. You must select the correct template. I'm going to say it again. You must select the correct template. In our case, we are going to select the architectural template. If you select a construction, structural, or mechanical, it's not going to give you the right tools that you need to design a building. So you can get a lot of a building designed in some of these different templates, but you're gonna fall short, especially toward the end. And toward the end, when you fall short, you'll have to start all over from scratch for your structure. So you must start out. You're designing a building, so let's go with an architectural template. And I emphasize that because I have had several students, even after emphasizing it, choose the wrong template and then have to go back several weeks later and start their project all over again. Okay, so architectural template it is. And then click OK. And just give it a moment to come up. On the computers that you're currently using, it may take a little bit longer to come up than it does on mine. Hopefully we will have new computers next year. But the setup is similar to AutoCAD. You have the quick access toolbar across the top. Okay, then you have your tab bar, all of your tabs to get to different ribbons. And this is your ribbon with your individual panels identified by the word that's kind of in the center of the panel. And all of the tools in that panel all sort of relate to one another for one reason or another. And then, of course, you have your individual tools. A lot of these tools will have drop-down arrows under them that you can click open for more options. Okay. And then again, you have your various drawing tabs. If you have more than one drawing open at one time, I really wouldn't have more than a couple, maybe two or three. Especially on these computers. Then you have over to the left, you have properties panel, and then you have the project browser. You see that right here, it says properties. properties, and then right here it says project browser. Those must stay on all the time. Do not close those just to get a little bit extra space on your screen. Okay, they have to stay open. You will use them continually. A lot of those things, a lot of the changes that you'll make in there, a lot of your checks and balances and everything else will be in one of these two panels. If you ever lose these panels, accidentally close one, please don't close one. It's real easy to get them back, however. To get them back, you just click on the View tab here, and then go down to the end where it says User Interface. Click on that, and then, of course, you will see you have Properties right here. It has a check mark because mine is on, and then Project Browser. Okay, and that one is on. Okay, so that's how you turn that back on if you lose them. I prefer not to undock them either from the side. I mean, you can undock them and move them to different places. You can even move it to a different screen, but getting it docked back can sometimes be a little cumbersome. But if you just leave them like this, that's how I use mine, and that would be perfectly fine. Down across the bottom, you have a status bar, just like you had in AutoCAD. And this is where you can, this is your scale right down here at the bottom. And I can zoom into that a little bit better. So there's your scale. You change it simply by clicking on it. You can just leave it in the scale that it's currently in at the moment. Especially when you get to text, when you're using your dimensions and your text, you'll probably want to switch to 1/4 inch scale. Okay. Then you have your, this is your resolution level or your detail level, and it has 3 different levels, coarse, medium, and a fine. Then you have your graphic display options. You have wireframe and hidden line. These two you'll be working in very often. There is an option for shaded, consistent colors, and realistic. Definitely, whatever you do, do not work in realistic. Realistic is all, you have all of your colors and your textures and everything else all loaded in there at once. It makes the computer work extremely slow, and it will crash the computer. So even though it's very tempting to work in realistic, it looks nice, it's pretty, and all that kind of stuff. I mean, even on the best computers, you want to work in hidden line and wireframe because it just works a lot faster and a lot more accurately. You can get a lot more work done that way. And then just periodically check out your work in the realistic mode, just to get an idea of what it looks like. But then, of course, immediately after that, switch back to your regular wireframe or hidden line mode. Down below, to the right of that, you can turn the sun path on or off to do sort of a solar analysis of your home, see where the shadows will be cast at different parts of the day, maybe where the sun will be shining into windows during different parts of the day. This one is shadows on or off, so you can actually see the shadows that your house creates and what's going to be in shadow at certain parts of the day. This is your crop view and your crop region, and this will turn your crop view on or off so that you can change it. You really don't mess with that much until you get toward the end of your project and you are creating what we call sheets to be printed off. This is a temporary hide and isolate tool, and this will temporarily hide items so that you can hide them and kind of work around them. It works almost just like the layers in AutoCAD, but this one works a little better, a little bit more convenient. You can temporarily hide things and then turn them back on when you get done working around them. And this one will reveal hidden elements. So anything that you have hidden, if you forgot, you can click on that and it will show everything that you have hidden. And once you see everything that you've hidden, you can click on certain items and turn those items back on. Temporary view properties, I've never really messed with that. I mean, most of my view properties are all pretty much going to be, regular. I'm going to switch them on and off either through here, or there's also other means. I rarely ever use this one. Hide analytical model, and that really is pretty advanced. We're not going to mess with that at all. And that probably, maybe once you get into college and definitely engineering school. And this one is a reveal constraint. So anything that is constraining your model, which Revit works. Revit is very good. It's very flexible. You really don't have to mess with your constraints much. But just in case you do, if you have to see them, so you can remove some of those constraints so that you can get certain geometries to work together, then that's where you would refer to. Okay, so that is your introduction to Revit. The next video, of course, we want to start creating some walls and things like that, creating a building. So I will show you a method for doing that. And I'm going to kind of change the method a little bit from what I've been doing, what I've been teaching students for several years. I'm going to use something is a little bit different, but you'll get it once we get there. Okay.